It's Sunday. It's actually Easter Sunday. So happy Easter if you celebrate. I'm gonna do the Big Cats World. It's this just area or I don't know, park that has a bunch of different like exotic animals that are cats. So there's like the leopards, the cheetahs, the lions, like that kind of thing. I've driven past this so many times. I paid to get in already, and I think you have to go on a tour because the guy told me to come back to a spot in 15 minutes. So we'll see.
Away. So we'll start here with Beowulf. He is a white Bengal tiger. He's one of our biggest cats in the park. He kind of sounds like a cow more than a cat. But the tigers are pretty talkative. They do lots of moans and groans and grunts and growls. Attaboy. Now you will not find any white tigers in the wild today. Come on. He's chewing his first bite. Whoa. Wow. Now Scrapper gets his name because he's really scrappy. As you can see, this little guy is super feisty and he is a super aggressive cat. Now Joffrey's cats are going to be found living in South America, and they are a species that's currently threatened. It's kind of one step above being endangered. Biggest reason for that is the fur trade. So no two cats have the same spots or stripes. And if you shave the cats bald, you would see the patterns go down onto their skin. I'm not going to demonstrate, but you'll have to take my word for it on that one. And sometimes African servals are bred with domestic house cats to make those savanna cats. But again, this is an aggressive species. Now 7 pounds soaking wet. Come on, little boy. And this is the only cat species we have at the park that's considered fully nocturnal, meaning usually they are asleep all day and awake all night, although he definitely wakes up for a treat. Now these cats are called the Asian leopard cat, but they definitely live outside of Asia. They have one of the widest geographical distributions of all the cat species. You can find Asian leopard cats living in Asia, parts of Europe, the Middle East, and India. Now this cat can thrive in a lot of different environments because they are very versatile hunters. This is one of the cats that is a little bit less exotic. You could definitely see a cougar here in Oregon. Now normally he's very shy. He likes you guys. He came right up. Attaboy. Look at those claws. Oh boy. This is a cat that you could bump into out on a hike. Now, lucky for us, cougars are notorious for being a really shy and timid big cat. So that's kind of a good cat to be our local big cat. If you ever saw one out in the wild, my advice would be get really big and really loud, and you could probably scare them off pretty easily. Just remember the #1 rule is always do not run, because that really triggers their predator instinct to run right after you. Cougars can pounce out 15 feet, no problem. They can run about 30 miles an hour, so you are not going to beat them in a foot race. Jaguars are not the biggest of the big cats, but pound for pound, they are considered to be the strongest big cat. I'm going to walk around and offer her a treat. Now another way to tell the difference from a jaguar and a leopard is really just based off their body style. Definitely the #1 cat on my list that I do not want to bump into out in the jungle. These guys are super powerful. If they were the size of a tiger, we'd be in big trouble. Any questions about our jaguar Cora? Beautiful cat, but jaguars do tend to be pretty fierce. Yeah, you're a good little girl. Not so much. We have one sweet jaguar right over here, but I'd say that's pretty unique. Most of the time, they're just sizing you up, thinking how they can get out and eat you. They're definitely one. Atta girl. Now, Serafina here is a jaguar. She is the same species as Cora over there. Hello. Now, clearly Serafina does look pretty different from Cora. Serafina has melanism. She has what we call a melanistic coat. She's got a lot of extra melanin, a lot of extra pigment. That makes her fur look really, really dark. Now, she does have the jaguar spots underneath that dark coat, but it is pretty hard to see unless the sunlight is really shining right on her. And she's gonna show off for you guys right now. She just got a couple new toys, so she's been pretty excited. In the morning when she comes out into her enclosure, sometimes she is literally bouncing off the walls of a cage. Yeah, she's a good time for sure. Any questions about our black jaguar, Serafina? Cats in the world. There's only an estimated 40 Amur leopards remaining in the wild today. The chances of them being able to repopulate is pretty low. So this species is considered to be functionally extinct in the wild. Now here at our park, we work with an organization called the Species Survival Program. They help to keep track of some of the captive populations of these critically endangered species. According to them, there are about 300 Amur leopards registered in captivity today, and that does include Raina here. This is a good example of the benefits to having them in captivity. If we didn't preserve this species by having them here in captivity, they'd go completely extinct like a dinosaur. And unfortunately, most of the time with these endangered species, it's us humans that are to blame. Biggest threat to Amur leopards in the wild is poachers. Most of the big cats are not very soft. They tend to have pretty coarse fur, kind of like a large dog. The Amur leopard is really one of the only exceptions to the rule. You can see that she's super fluffy. She's got a really soft, luxurious coat, and that does make her a huge target for poachers. Now, Raina is a full-grown adult Amur leopard, but she even have a bobbed tail. It's only about 6 inches long, so it is considered to be a bobbed tail. Now, all these body parts have their own advantage for this. Now, these long, skinny legs are powerful. Servals can leap almost as high as a basketball hoop, nearly 12 feet in the air. And they are the second fastest cat in the world, only behind the cheetah. They've got a top speed of about 45 miles per hour. Now, this is definitely a sprinter and not a marathon runner. They do tire quickly. They don't have the best stamina, but when they're chasing a tasty prey, they can move super fast in short bursts. Now, some threats to servals in the wild is going to be pesticides. These cats often predate on rodents, so sometimes a rodent will ingest a poison, a serval will ingest the rodent, and they can get secondhand poisoning that way. Really large tufts of fur on the tips, even more dramatic than the lynx. But this is not a close relative to the lynx. The closest relative to the caracal is going to be the cougar and the serval.
They have a really good sense of smell either, huh?
No, none of them do.
He's walking right past that one.
Oh yeah, sometimes they'll step right on it.
I think he's sitting on it.
I think you might be right. Yeah, they do not have a good sense of smell.
No.
Now, Cooper here is hissing at me because like I said, he's a very grumpy cat. I can see by his body language he's not in distress. He doesn't have his ears back. He's not hiding or pacing. He's just a really sassy cat. Probably feeling a little territorial because I'm right next to his enclosure. Oh, he's totally sitting on the tree. Yeah. If you didn't believe me before, I'm sure you do now. Yeah, they don't have that great sense of smell like a canine. You're so handsome. But like servals, caracals can also leap and pounce very high. Oftentimes in the wild, they will jump up and grab birds right out of the air mid-flight. Hi, handsome boy. Hi, handsome boy. You're very sweet. Can we get a roar? Get a big roar. That's a baby roar. Well, these two cats are super sweet. I'd say they're tied with our African wildcat for being the sweetest cats in the park. They kind of have the personality of a golden retriever, very sweet and affectionate. Not the most cunning of the cats, but they are beautiful cats and they're very sweet. Now, I hate to say this, but they're also very stinky. Male lions do not lick and groom themselves like other cats. Now in India, the Bengal tiger population is doing a little bit better. They're really trying to support their Bengal tigers, help them to repopulate. They've actually relocated some rural villages, trying to give the tigers back some of their habitat. Attaboy. China has also, or India has also protected certain species of deer that can no longer be hunted by humans because it's the tiger's main source of prey. Attaboy. And in India, they will prosecute poachers to the fullest extent of the law. However, a lot of times poachers are even more elusive than the cats themselves. Now that grunting sound he's doing is called chuffing. Tigers are not able to purr, so that's kind of their version of a purr. That's kind of their happy sound. They can crush the skull of their prey pretty easily with their powerful jaws. They can crush the skull of a horse with their mouth. They are super strong. Chia, don't even think about it. Come on, not a girl. Now, jaguars will also get into the water and swim to hunt and kill caiman and crocodiles, drag them out of the water, and even sometimes drag them up into a tree to eat them. Oh, she's getting that one. Here. Come on, Chia. Can you see the spots, especially on her face? Here's Clouder. Clouder is our clouded leopard. Super unique pattern, very different from the typical rosette spots that we see on other species of leopards. It's got these big wavy patches, some stripes down his spine, almost kind of looks like snake skin. And he's eating some grass like a house cat. Clouder, come here. Now, Clouder here is built sort of like a wiener dog. He's got very short legs, very long body, and a very, very long tail. That tail can get up to 3 feet long. Sometimes it's longer than the length of their entire body. Now, the short legs give him a good center of gravity, and the long tail helps with balance, which is very important for the clouded leopard because they are a super arboreal species of leopard. They spend a lot of time up in the trees. In proportion to the size of his skull, he has the largest canine teeth. They're about 2 inches long. Now, that's the same size as a Bengal tiger's canine teeth, and obviously, attaboy! Now, Clouder usually only climbs when nobody is around. But he's feeling it today, and usually the cougar doesn't come up. You guys got something special going on. You got good vibes. All the cats are very happy to greet you. Clouder, attaboy. He can even go like a sloth, upside down. They can shoot their mouth into the water quickly and grab fish. They also produce a very stinky oil that coats their undercoat, and it kind of helps to keep their fur a little more water repellent. They've also got webbing in between their fingers and toes like an otter does that helps them swim, and they tend to have a pretty skinny tail, not a fluffy tail because they don't want any drag when they're swimming in the water. Now, sometimes Saki has trouble finding the treats in the pond, and the biggest reason for that is because they don't move or swim like a fish does. Cats are really visual hunters, and they're very attracted to quick movement. That's kind of what they look for when they hunt. That's kind of what triggers that instinct to pounce and chase. Part of why they say don't run from a cat. So, because the treats are pretty static, sometimes she has trouble finding them, but we are working to get some live fish to stock her pond. My only concern is that it's probably going to need to be restocked very frequently because I don't think the fish are going to last long with stock. This is so strong. The only way to differentiate an African wildcat from a domestic house cat 100% for sure is going to be through genetic testing because just using your eyes is not quite enough. Really, the only physical difference between an African wildcat and a domestic house cat is that the wildcats do have a little bit more muscle density than a typical house cat does. Now, the other big difference I would usually say is their personality. African wildcats are a smaller species that tends to be pretty aggressive, but this little guy is not a very good example of that. He's been hand raised. As you can see, he is super sweet and affectionate, but if you ran into one out in the wild, they'd probably be pretty feisty. Jaguars and leopards have a white belly. The reason for that is if they were to be up in a tree and you were underneath them, the white and black is better camouflage from below, kind of like the light shining through the branches. Now, leopards are going to be the biggest climber of those three cats. Tigers are very strong and capable of climbing, but they are so large they need a very big tree or structure to support them. But about 75% of a tiger's body weight is coming from their muscles, so they are pretty strong. Come on, Petra. Pretty bold. They're one of few cats that is very active and actively hunting during the daytime. Most other cats like to have the cover of darkness on their side, and they do have really good eyesight even in the dark. But because bobcats are active during the day, sometimes traffic and getting hit by cars is a concern because us people also tend to be pretty active during the day.
Apparently they're brothers. And they're 4 years old. There's a peacock in the background.
Okay, so we're done with Big Cats tour. I think it's worth seeing. It was a $22 ticket to get in, but you can go on a tour if you are there within a certain time of the tour starting. You do get to see all the cats. You can walk around on your own after the tour. I thought it was cool. It's also just random, where it is. There's not very much of stuff around it. But yeah. We'll report to my coworker tomorrow that I saw it and I think it's worth visiting.